All right, well, hello and welcome, friends, to episode 25 of The Companion to the Companion. I'm here with Ian, and we are discussing 11/16/94 at the Hill Auditorium at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, Michigan, here in fall 94, and just loving these shows and really looking forward to discussing them with you, Ian. How are you?
Hey, yo, I'm pretty good.
Hey, yo.
Pretty good. So Ann Arbor, Michigan, never been there, but my stepmom Roberta grew up in Detroit, and she has nothing but great things to say about Ann Arbor. Says it's one of the coolest cities in the country, super progressive, lots of great art, super nice people, and there's been some pretty good shows there. So that she might be onto something. You ever been?
Yeah, I was in a band in Boston with a couple friends who met in college there, and again, nothing but great stuff to say about the area and living there and going to school there, and yeah, and some great shows. I've never been. I've been near, but never actually there.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, after this show, it might deserve a pilgrimage.
Yeah, part of the country that we'll get to know better. I mean, I'm a coastal guy, but that middle part, you can surf in the Great Lakes. I've seen it. It happens. I don't know. Probably almost as many waves as up here sometimes. Yeah. So, fall 94. I can't get enough. I really can't. This show was so much fun, such good energy. It's really such an inflection and transition point for the band, between, tight precision and really improvising. And this show, I think, if we look at it, is the first really big jam that we've done on this entire podcast. 25 episodes in.
Right.
The first one clocking in over half an hour, a real, talked about, and people say, the Ann Arbor simple, and like it's known about. But I think the rest of the show all deserves a lot of discussion, and it's such a cool part in the band's history and trajectory, and it's just a lot to go over. I'm really looking forward to it.
Guys, do you want to hot take it to the start of the show? Should I save it to the end? Should we let's get it out of the way right now?
Sure, go for it.
The simple is really great. I mean, it's a really impressive moment of improvisation, of band communication. Yes. And I think to be in the room, very special. Looking at the set list, I'd be like, oh my God, look at that simple. What happens in that simple? Yeah. You know what else? It's my least favorite part of the whole show. That's my hot take.
Yeah. I didn't feel that way, but I understand, and I think we can get into it, and as we will run into offshoots about us working on sort of our version of a live one going through this fall. This simple would not make the cut, even though it was. It is not for the faint of heart. It's not amateur Phish. It's there's I think I counted 13 or 14 distinct jams in a half hour. Yeah. It is very. They are just changing and changing and changing, and it's so unique and so different from how they improvise later in their career. It's such a look into a band just bobbing and weaving in a way that very few bands can and ever would again.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work. I did it independently of the rest of the show.
Sure.
I just was like, I'm going to sit down and spend a lot of time listening. There's also a few songs from this show you can find on, what was it? One of those, streamed before a show, like from the archives.
Oh, really?
And This Simple is one of them.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
So the sound quality in the show is average at best.
Yeah.
It sounds like a audience recording from fall 94, but the mic's simple, and then a couple of the acoustic songs you can find from the archives. And it did help a little with sound quality, but as always, an official release, this show would be talked about all the time.
Yeah. So as you mentioned before, we're going to be rebuilding a live one. And because Simple is the sort of, the big moment in this night's show, we're talking about maybe which Simple should replace the one on the live one. And I will say that compared to any of the other songs on live one, I feel like Simple would be the first one that I would change. And the reason for that is it's one of my favorite Phish songs, and I know it's not on any album. And they must have been conscious of, let's choose a very straightforward version of Simple, for a live one that'll kind of represent, this will be the sort of recording of Simple. So they seem to be like not trying to choose something jammy or anything crazy, but just something that really focuses on the song structure. Would you agree with that or disagree, or what do you think?
No, very much agree. And I mean, when we hit Simple, our sort of top three, what we're going to go through tonight, our broken out protracted discussion on a song is going to be Simple, but it's going to be focused on the Fall '94 jam charted simples.
Sure.
And of the 23 times it was played that fall, 23, they were playing it constantly. Only 5 make the jam charts, which mean 5 were interesting enough to be like, ooh, you must listen to this from this show.
Sure. I listened to ones that weren't on the jam chart. I hope that's okay.
Oh yeah.
Just because I wanted to make sure.
It seems like it took till 96, 7 for Simple to really find where it lives now,
right.
Which is why I'm so fascinated with these. Summer '94 was its sort of coming out party, and it was a weird little jam, and usually in Mike's song. But Fall '94 was when it was a song.
Right.
They obviously loved it and played it a lot, but I think they wanted to represent, like you said, a quick, non-improvised version. Right. And there are, I mean, we'll get into it in our live one mini-sode that we do, or maxi-sode based on how long it could take. But I don't like that word maxi-sode. We'll come up with megasode. That sounds better. It's like Megatron.
A little like a dinosaur.
Yeah, a megasode. It sounds like a giant toad with like horns and battle scales. And that's what the episode will be about. But there's a few songs I instantly want to get rid of, and the Simple is one of them. Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Firmly. That gumbo's got to go. There's a few that have to go. So when we hit Simple in the show, we will digress into these ones. So
right.
Yeah, I'm excited.
It sounds like Sam and I are gonna have a little disagreement on the gumbo.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
All right. Well, let's talk about 11, 16, 94.
Yes.
Real quick. Let's see. How do I want to address this? So this is kind of like the 25th anniversary of 97. And so there's been a lot of, talk about these fall 97 shows. And on the recent Undermined podcast, Trey was on discussing the Denver 11-17 97. And what I want to talk about is first sets. Because before we even get into this, when I finished this first set from 11-16 94, I thought to myself, I think this is in the running for maybe my favorite first set of all time. And then I was thinking about other great first sets. And 11-17 97 obviously popped into my head because that's a hell of a first set. But then I was trying to compare them in my head, and I'm like, you can't really compare these two bands, these two sounds, these two sets, they're just very, very different. And I may have mentioned this before, but if I was nominating a version of Phish to compete with every other great band that ever existed, I don't know, man, this fall 94 version of Phish, I feel like it's kind of weird because 97 is my favorite year of Phish, but I don't think it's the strongest year of Phish. I'm kind of like, I don't know how to put this, but I feel like there's something about this fall 94 tour where they are so in control of what they are trying to do. It's so muscle memory. It's so aggressive. It's so... I could use endless adjectives, but it's kind of like you can't argue with it. But I can argue with Fall 97 very, very easily, depending on what kind of music you like. But I feel like there is a certain virtuosity and a level of workmanship that's kind of like looking at, like a skyscraper. Or not to bring it back to Simple, I did that totally accidentally. Pardon me. But
nice segue.
What do you got, Sam?
No, I firmly agree. I've been listening to so much Fall 94 because we're listening for the live one stuff. So I've been listening to some real discussed shows, some random stuff, and it's all so good. It's just so good. And during this between the last show and this one, they officially released 12/2/95, which
right.
December 95 is also peak Phish.
Yeah.
I just wasn't feeling it like maybe I'm so immersed in fall 94.
Right.
And, Trey was very, I feel like when we do that episode, I may pilfer some quotes from that podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But Trey was very revealing in some of the things he said. And I think he, more so than usual, I think, because maybe he was talking to Tom Marshall and they're just best buds. And he's like, I'm on a podcast, but fuck, like I'm getting older. I don't care. I'm going to say some things. And he was talking about eras of the band. And he's like, 92, 93 Phish was kind of my favorite. Like,
that was awesome.
He's like, it's like the amount of time they would practice, the amount of time they would work. They were just so tight, and they were performing rock classical compositions every night. And it was an attitude. They were going out to just like blow people's minds every night. And when they walked off stage, they were like, fuck yes. Like loving each other, loving what they're accomplishing. And I feel that in these shows. This was the beginning of, we can do that so well, but we're also going to push the envelope and bring that mentality to improvising.
Right.
And that's why I think the Fall 94 jams, especially like this one, are just such adventures.
Right.
They're not those long, sick, mind-soothing, like dancing grooves. They are wild stories, and often, like we will get to later, but in the Stash and the Antelope, terrifying stories of horror and like dread. It is not, I think at some point in the Antelope I read, this is not hippie music,
No,
this is not happy good times Grateful Dead stuff. This is horrifying metal and screeching and pain and like pummeling you while you're trying to listen. And that Phish is the juxtaposition between that and then Tennessee Waltz is so incredible. The scope of the band. Yeah, I'm with you. This is some peak Phish, and I'm sure when we get to 95 and 7, and we will also have some really peak moments. And this is when I started seeing them too. So for me, this was all new, and I was shocked.
Right.
I mean, I had no idea what this was all about. And my first show was 94, but 95 I saw a few more. 96 I saw a few more, and then 97, 8, 9 I saw a lot of Phish, and so that was when I saw them the most. But when I go back and listen to this, it's like I forget, and I missed a lot of these shows. This one was not one that I've spent this kind of time with. And I mean, all right, we'll go on forever. But set one opens with the same song that closed the last show, and then the second song is the same second song as the last show. So there's some mirroring. It's just 12, so it's 4 days later. But man, I just straight fire with the sample out of the gate, and then to foam, like great power, energy intro, and I both expertly played.
Yeah, the foam, I was just floored, and I loved like the all fall apart kind of as it comes to a close at the end of the foam, which was a little unusual, but thought it was so cool.
So cool. just dexterous musicianship, like oozing right from the beginning.
And then this transition into Fast Enough for You, which is kind of like, it's like you got your poppy rocker opener sample and into this like highly psychedelic composed foam, and then into like a ballad in the 3 spot, which I mean it's not totally unusual.
Cool
though. Yeah, but I was prepared for it to slow down the show. But man, it was great.
The vocals were a little shaky, but they pulled it together, and man, just big fiery finish to it. Really like. crushing ballads. Phish has always crushed ballads like this, but yeah, I was impressed.
And I liked the sort of the tenor, like the sound of Trey's guitar. I don't know what kind of effect he had working on it, but it was really working on me. But yeah, definitely a true power ballad and 3-spot. And then we move on to Reba.
I just wrote right away a truly incredible Reba. Like I was in love with this one, and the crowd, like this is where the crowd really got me. Mm-hmm. And as I listened through the show, the chalk dust from this is from a live one, and even in that, this crowd is loud. They're loud, they're excited, they are fired up, but the band has them just eating out of their hands, and you really feel it. Like this, there are so many moments in this Reba, but I think the one that really got me was where Paige hits this trill. It's like 7:45-ish or so. Hits this trill where it's almost for a minute. And I think it's that moment in the song where like everybody's just circles around this thing, and then it just totally changes the tenor of the rest of the song. And it wasn't like a departure from Reba, but it was just a really, it's so bold. There's a lot of bold moves from everyone in this show, and that was just a really bold Paige move. It was cool.
It's so funny. I have a Paige twinkle section leading to and inspiring a big finish.
Yes, big finish.
Sounds like we were here on the
huge
same
building
thing.
Again.
Yeah.
It was such a moment of like, they're doing what they can to, if they're not listening, what's the point? And you hear that from Trey a lot. And it was, it very much was showing.
Right.
So cool. Oh. And then Axela, which, fuck Axela Part 1. Because it's supposed to always be Axela Part 2. The lyrics are so much better.
And the ending.
It always just makes me happier. Yeah, and this ending was, the slow jam, like 4 in or so, was really cool.
Yeah,
I love the ending.
That's on my bucket list, is seeing the flashlight jam.
It's
No,
such
I've
a
said it
big,
before.
like kick-ass rock, like Sloth, but in a more 94 Phish way. So cool.
Right.
And it actually transitions a little oddly, but transitions nicely into Lizards, which was
Yeah.
cool. And Jesus, Page in this Lizards, like,
Yeah.
whew. The flow, like we've talked about in these shows, the set lists are written, the flow is thought out and planned.
Yeah.
And it seems like with the interjections of the acoustic moments in this show, they made the electric moments really, really count. They wanted to juxtapose them with big power and then quiet, gentle, acoustic tunes.
Yeah, well
Cool.
said. And Page was, he was pretty much, he was
My God.
magnificent in this jam.
Yes.
It's like, wow, Page.
Yeah, it was every moment was great, but then that one outro one at like 6-ish or so was just, yeah, something else. How do people not love this band? Like,
Yeah.
if you like music, like Billy Crudup in Almost Famous, I dig music. Or what is it? He asked him, so what do you like about music? And he says, well, for starters, everything.
Yeah.
Like, come on, you gotta love this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And then
do
after
feel like
Lizards,
when Page is on it and he's twinkling, like that's the kind of Phish that I feel like people do tend to. I never catch people saying bad things about Phish when Page is in the lead. I don't know. I just think there's something about kind of like, playful piano that most people like. Whereas a Syrian guitar solo isn't necessarily everybody's cup of tea, per se.
I've also heard that Page can be the one to be counted on to be on time to the bus with his luggage ready and stuff too. So.
Always a plus.
He's got two things going for him. Two things now. And then to Stash, which, I mean, we discussed the last show, the Fall 94 Stash is our favorites. And this one was, both of us had this as one of our favorites.
Yeah.
And it was just a joy to re-listen to it again.
Totally. I listened to it twice since that last one. So I think I've heard it 4 times in the past couple months, and I'm still loving it. So an amazing Stash.
So unique.
One I'd love to hear on soundboard.
Yeah. at one point I just wrote Fishman with 3 exclamation points. Then I wrote, no, fuck, the whole band. This is insane. Like, I can tell when I'm enjoying it because my writing is illegible. Just so sloppy. But And they're ending their electric portion of the set. So they really like put a stamp on it in a shorter period of time. And
right.
Gorgeous playing.
Right. Oh. And like you were mentioning before, they're juxtaposing this sort of incredibly intense rock and roll with a very playful and, I don't know, like upbeat type of bluegrass, but not pure bluegrass. It definitely has like a sort of poppy feel to it, that's very friendly. And they play the next few songs here with Jeff Mosier, right?
So is it Mosier,
Oh,
Mosier,
Mosier.
Mosier?
Yeah, Mosier sounds good.
I'm
I
not
like
sure.
that. Yeah, let's say Mosier.
But he, the Reverend. This was
Yeah.
they did 5 nights with him,
Right.
and it seems like I don't know the story. I would love if there was a little more interjection. I probably could have figured it out and done some research. But we're having fun here. Come on. But he did 5 nights with the band, and I think they were trying to find new avenues of performance. I think they always liked this kind of music. I think when one of them gets a bug, they're like, cool, let's master that now.
Right.
Like always the workmen, always what more can we do? Yeah, and this was so, so cool. Tennessee Waltz, and then Foggy Mountain Breakdown,
We're
and
picking
Swing
a pen
Lows,
first, right?
Sweet Cherry. Oh, yep, I'm sorry. Picking a pen first. Then Tennessee Waltz, Foggy Mountain Breakdown, Swing Low, Sweet Cherry. So it was 4 songs with him on banjo, which allowed Mike, I mean, the last show we talked how Mike was on banjo. This allowed Mike to play bass through it, and the band kind of to be on regular instruments, but acoustic. And it was really cool.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Great solos. Great energy.
Great solos.
Yeah, and I think like when we're kind of talking about, you had brought up 12/2/95, which, December 95, obviously incredible, but to me a big difference between the two is humor. And I feel like 95 just doesn't have as much humor as 94.
It's a little more serious, yeah.
Yeah, and just as that 93 is a little sillier than 94, 95 is a little less silly and so on, and then 96 is kind of even less silly, and then 97 the silly comes back a bit. I mean, that's a generalization because show to show it changes a bit. But yeah, I feel like humor is something that kind of comes through in the bluegrass that I really appreciate. And it's hard to explain why it does because they're taking it very seriously, but maybe it's just the juxtaposition or the fact that we're seeing this type of music in this type of venue with these type of people. Like, I guess, I don't know, maybe humor is not the right word, but it's surreal. It was surreal, I especially at the time in the early 90s because country hadn't become popular again yet. At least to us, country was still pretty, people shat on country. Like, it wasn't cool to like country, at least not in California. And I'm assuming the East Coast was the same way. So Phish doing this was kind of a little bit of an aberration. Like, we're going to do something that's specifically uncool. I mean, bluegrass is like, yeah, taking acid and listening to bluegrass, that's not a thing. But they did it in a way that made it really trippy and really fucking awesome. And I think that's super original. I mean, I guess the Grateful Dead did that too. So, you've got a little overlap with Hold It in the Way. I'm not giving Phish like credit for inventing it, but in terms of our generation, they were kind of making country cool for me.
I have similar and conflicting things to say, but when I think bluegrass as a sound, when it's heard, is pretty universally loved.
Right.
It's such an easy, like a lot of it, like Swing Low, Sweet Chariot and stuff, they come from church hymnals. They're meant to be warmly received. The melodies are usually very pleasing, and the solos fall within scales that are, it goes where you think it's going to go. Right. And it really allows soloists to stretch out. And they really round robin some beautiful solos in this. Mm-hmm. But I think if you're a city person, which, I mean, I would say you're more of a city person than me. I've kind of been split 50-50 in my life. I mean, I live in the country now. And I think Phish are country boys, and they've lived in cities. They, Trey's got an apartment in New York. But he also has a farmhouse. And I think growing up at parties and, out in the woods, which I did in high school and I do now, people like to pull out instruments and play acoustic stuff. And I think bluegrass seeps into that style of sitting around the fire. And, it's a very down-home vibe to it. And I think bringing that to a raucous, loud party in an arena and being able to manage the audience really well. It was really cool. Yeah. Juxtaposition from the rock, but also it's just another tool in the tool belt. It's cocky and showy in its own way. It's really cool.
It's funny when you talk about the sort of like people pull out instruments at a party. The first thing that comes to my mind, being from Southern California, is obviously mariachi. That's like what I always, anytime I was at a party and people pulled out acoustic instruments, it was mariachi they played. So same difference, but that's just what I was, accustomed to. Probably why I loved it so much when Los Lobos bust out a little mariachi at the end of La Bamba.
It wasn't Fritz playing DMB covers at parties, no? Remember Fritz?
Fortunately, yes. But yeah, great end to the set. And you'd think that Foggy Mountain Breakdown, Swing Low, might not be an appropriate big finish for a Phish set, but it really was. They really built it up into a pretty outstanding high energy closer.
Think about how you feel at that set break. Just like, what can this band not do? Aren't those the best set breaks ever? Where you're just sitting there like, I'm in such awe. I don't know what can come next. I don't know what this band hasn't done. It's really exciting.
All right, and so that's the first set.
Yeah, an amazing first set. And to go from that set break, be all jazzed, and then come straight back out into the opening notes of Mike's song. God.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a pretty cool mic. So there was I think it was standard for the time, but some false finishes, and I feel like Mike Gordon, the bassist, was performing very strongly in this mic. Cause I was like, kind of, my ears were glued to Mike. I was listening to him, and I was like, oh man, Mike's stealing the show here, and that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I wrote here too. It's you can find. I found a place you could download, recordings of all from the archives. It's volume 17 is where the Mike Simple comes from.
Okay.
So you can find those from the archives. Like, the sound is better than the audience, but really not that much better.
Yeah, it's still.
I just wrote again. Yeah. Please release all. But yeah, quick mics. The first jam is somewhat like chaotic, like you said. It's standard for the time, but standard great.
Yeah.
And then right into the 33-minute simple.
Was there like a weird cut for you? Or I don't know, at least on my recording, it doesn't really matter, but it didn't seem like a true transition. I was like, that was weird, but.
No, it went straight in.
Okay.
The transition's actually really nice. Composed section is really tight. And then I wrote around 5:30 or so is where it all breaks down and gets interesting, and you can tell they're going to take it for a little bit of a spin.
Uh-huh.
But God, like I said, the 13 unique jams to follow are not It's a little more than just a little spin. So yeah, let's talk some notes. What do you got?
Like you said, my handwriting is quite messy when I'm in the throes of a good jam. But
much.
I have, and I don't know if it's 1150. There's a speedy country shuffle. But in general, I say that that the jam is really elastic with cool mic effects. Trey and Phish start bringing it back up, finds a tweezer-like groove about 10 minutes. But I feel like it's really light on its toes. And I feel like there's a lot of space in general in this jam, and that like it breathes. Like they kind of like go through a jam and they kind of like let it breathe for a second, and they move on to the next jam and they let it breathe for a second. It's not like this sort of like huge building upon building upon building tension sort of deal, but it's almost like they're exploring musical avenues in kind of a classy way.
It's just on the spot composition over and over. Yeah, it's
right.
It's all of the things they worked on, personified in a jam. And does it make it like the Riverport Gin, which is just this giant ecstatic thing? No.
Right.
But or like the 12, the Albany Yem 12/9/95. No, those jams are incredible in their subtlety and rhythmic building. This is just composition after composition after. Right. Like, it is something to listen to. It is very different.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like you, where there's very interesting things, but around 10, 11, that's kind of where it really, you can tell they're going to go till they're out of ideas, and they don't run out.
Yeah.
There's a spooky jam at one point that I wrote could go on our like Halloween playlist.
Right.
But I felt somewhere around 25-ish minutes till the end was my favorite part. There were like 3 of my really favorite moments. There's this weird like slinky little groove out of nowhere that kind of has a McGilla tease to it.
I think that's my
Mike is teasing
what
it.
I wrote is psychedelic jazz section.
Yes. And then the big rock, build with like reminiscence of Can You Hear Me Knockin' kind of tones.
Right.
And then into that beautiful, gentle ending to the whole thing.
Right.
like it took you on such a ride, but then it finishes with such classic kind of 94 Phish style
Right.
that was really like they got deep into the space of improvising, and the way they got out of it was so well done that I think it does deserve everyone's listen. I mean,
it does, yeah. Yeah, when I said it was my least favorite part of the show, I just want to be clear. I wasn't like, it wasn't a put down at all. It was just a way to point out how special everything around it was. So it was hyper.
You're not going to throw this on like when you're going to the store real quick.
No,
it's a lot. Yeah. And I don't know how to feel, but when I hear, and even Tom Marshall on his podcast talks about it, how Phish 3.0 and even 4.0, people love that they get into a jam and the words are like, there's no fat. They just instantly find the thing. They build to the thing. It's really well done. And they can make an ecstatic, improvisational thing in 9 minutes instead of 33. But for me, this is what I want. I want all of this composing on the spot. I would love them juxtaposed too. I'll take a big searing, slow burn as well. But this was really, really, I didn't know how much fun I was going to have listening. And I had to go back and listen to parts the next day. And you can pick little parts and listen.
Yeah, I mean, I think compared to some other 30-minute plus jams, this one had a couple of sections. Like there was like a section that was very big ball jammy, where I was like, well, I don't necessarily like this. And you just kind of fell into it because it's comfortable. So there was like a couple of small, but really we're only talking like 1 minute here and there, where I was like, well, you lost the farm a little bit, but you'll get it back in a second, which does make it really interesting to listen to. And it makes
it's not boring.
Yeah, it makes it like a whole experience. And, the Mud Island Tweezer is like that. But even in the same period, they're such a varied band that you kind of look at like the 12-194 Tweezer, which I think we're going to get to soon, where it is sort of like this one, it's really long, but it's a compact, straight sort of thing, as opposed to a Bomb Factory type that's very juxtaposed, or even the 11-28-94 Bowie, which has like a bunch of sections, like this one, kind of compared to 12-29-94 Bowie, that's very much like the 12-1-94. How many people did I lose there? 90, 98, 99% of the people?
It's just stats.
You were following me, Sam.
Whole time. I love all those things.
Anyway, but yeah, it was a great simple, and really cool, pretty ending that kind of wraps it up as like we just did something for you there. Did you notice that?
I mean, we're talking to people where I just said at 25 minutes into this jam is when my favorite parts are. Yeah. So if people are doing that are wonderful wonderful listeners that are out there, they're coming along with us.
Right.
If Phish is doing it, we're trying. We're getting out there. But yeah, the outro is amazing. And then again, they're juxtaposing that massive song with a acoustic section of their own.
Right.
Without the Reverend, I'm Blue and I'm Lonesome, and My Long Journey Home, which, man, just the break between the chaos.
Right.
Was so great. And the diversity and Fishman and I'm Blue and I'm Lonesome was really great. I love his voice. Trey always talks about it, like Fishman has the best voice in the band. But he was great in that. I thought it was a great moment of calm between the simple and then the chalk dust.
Yeah.
Or the end of the show. The end of the show is insane. We'll get into it now, but the live one chalk dust, I get why it's on there.
Right.
It's 6:45, so it's really short.
Yeah.
But man, the crowd is fired up. It's super tight. It's great.
Yeah,
it's great.
It is. I'm probably going to kick it off a live one, but it is a great version.
Well, here's my question is, I mean, there's only so much time I have to dedicate in my life to listening to just Phish. I mean, I'm dedicating a lot and I'm loving it, but every song I go listen to from the fall that's great, I'm like, fuck, it's just all so good. Right. But one of my favorite 94 chalk dust tortures is the 6/18-94, which we covered a few episodes back, which is vastly superior to this one. And now Trey, originally the band had put together this giant list and worked it down, and they had asked the fans to write in stuff. And I guess a fan had said, you have to put the 7/8-94 stash on there.
Sure.
So they chose that one from the summer. So if we're choosing, I don't want to choose from the summer because
Yeah.
it's too much work to suddenly add another tour on and try and listen. But that chalk dust blows this one out of the water, even though this one is good.
Yeah, I think we don't necessarily have to go and do research in the summer, but if there is something from the summer that you really feel strongly about pulling, I think that's
Yeah.
okay. But we should limit ourselves to like one or two. Let's make it mostly fall.
Yeah. I'm staying away from the New Year's run too. I know they pulled one or two from that, like the Wilson and stuff, but I'm out. I'm out.
Right. Well,
just sticking to fall.
since we're talking about it and we're already there and we've just talked about the simple, let's get
Oh yeah,
into
we got to
it.
do our simples.
Yeah,
I'm
let's do
sitting
our
here
simples.
jumping ahead to the chalk dust. Let's do our simples. So in fall 94, there were 5 that made the jam charts. The first one was 1031, which we've discussed ad nauseum.
Mm-hmm.
The second is this one, and then there's 3 more.
Right.
So out of those 5, I have a pretty quick 3 that I liked the most.
Right.
But the next 3 are 11/25/94 at it's on the Chicago box set.
Sure.
With 6/18/94, so that sounds great. 12/6/94 at UC Santa Barbara, and then 2 nights later, the 12/8 at Spreckles, which we have also discussed on this podcast.
Right.
So let's talk through them.
Well, I'm just going to be honest with you. I only need to talk about 2, and
sure.
here's the deal. If we're talking personal preference and a jam that I think is the most interesting and the most satisfying in terms of being a long-term Phish fan that's heard a lot of simples and a lot of Phish jams, it's Spreckles, hand down. It's got to be Spreckles.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm looking at it in terms of I'm Phish and I want to choose a version of this song that we just wrote that would be kind of like a representative studio version, doesn't have a lot of improvisation, no fat. I hate to be this guy, but it's got to be Halloween 94.
I know. I don't know how to choose either because this one is too much.
Right.
The 11/25 is very, very cool, but it's off kilter.
Yeah.
I really like the yoo-hoos. Like it's silly and weird. But it searches a lot and doesn't land on it. It's like the opposite of this simple, where this one is landing all the time.
Right.
That one was kind of searching and not finding. And then I thought the UCSB one it's in a sandwich. So it's good, but it's not like a standalone. So would you replace the live one simple with the Spreckles simple, which is just ungodly amazing?
Well,
and I know we have that fondness for the show.
I would be, I mean, obviously I would be overjoyed to have it there, but I think if I'm really just like push comes to shove, I think I would choose the Halloween simple because, and there's a reason for this, is because I think that the Spreckles one might be just a hair too long. Like it's just a little bit too much. And there's like a little section in there that kind of like when I've listened to it with Susie and my kids who love simple, I could tell they get a little bored, a little distracted in the middle when they're kind of finding that churning groove. And that's like one of the most interesting parts to me. But I think as like, if I'm putting a live album out there that's trying to attract new fans, I think that Halloween 94 one has like the perfect song structure, nice energy, and then it goes into a short but concise version of the simple jam, which really shows how pretty the song can become and how they kind of like they morph it from like sort of a rock ditty into almost like a sort of lilting ballad. And then it kind of like breaks down into the space, and it has kind of like equal parts of each, and it's very classy and it makes sense. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of improvisation in there, even though there is a little bit. But I don't know, it's tough to say. Like, I guess it's the difference between me kind of like trying to redo a Phish style live one and then me doing an Ian style live one. So I guess it depends.
Yeah, it's probably the closest on that short list of 5 to where simple ended up.
Right.
So, I mean, a separate live one show, we can get deeper into it, but what are we building it for? Who are we building it for? What was the band building it for?
Right.
Take things on and off. I mean, it becomes a personal preference. And I really want to get into some of the lore and some of the reasons why the songs that were chosen were chosen.
Right.
And what, speculate, of course, endlessly on why we believe they were. But yeah,
Well, would you
I had a lot of
argue?
fun listening to these.
Would you argue that having the catapult in the Spreckles Theater one is a good thing because it's like taking an album track, like a nothing album track, and then showing a potential fan what that nothing album track could potentially become in concert? Maybe that's a nice thing to have. I was kind of
Well,
pondering
Simple's
that.
never been on an album beyond that,
Right.
which I think hampered it a little. My thing on the Spreckles Simple, I do think it's the best of all of these in its way. I think that top of the jam, that Trey's guitar playing on the solos and the band has such a light, lilting, beautiful energy. When it hits the rock part, it does take a minute to get there.
Yeah.
But that jam is so great. The Catapult is like over funk, like a really
Yeah,
interesting
that's sick.
funk. And then post Catapult, all the saxophone.
Right.
Like that part is very, very cool. It flows so beautifully into a Lizards that just crushes too. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm such a fan of that show, and I've listened to it so many times, and the recordings sound amazing. But I don't know that it belongs on, the first official live release from a band that's known for live recordings.
All right. Sounds like we're on the same page.
Yeah, I may strike Simple entirely from it because of this. I think it didn't find its footing yet.
Right.
And it was a little early, but I know the band wanted to say, hey, we haven't put this on an album and probably never will, because it's not like a simple album structured song. So we're just going to throw it on our first live one because it's one of our live songs we're loving right now. So
Sure.
I get it.
It's just sad. Case, yeah. So I guess you can leave it off. I'll probably put Halloween '94 on because I do love that version, and I do love a Simple. And that album, just for most Phish fans was introducing me to new songs, like Gumbo, for instance. Gumbo was not a song I had heard before, and it was like, what? Horns? So granted, it's not the greatest Gumbo, and it's not, the greatest horn jam, or at least I wish it was a few minutes longer or whatever, but I still appreciated that. Whereas something like Montana, I would axe because I think it's incredible, like in the context of his jam. But I always remember just listening to that being like, what is this? But then when I heard it, and I couldn't really appreciate how genius it was until I heard it in the context of 11/28/94. And then once I heard that, I was like, holy shit. So I understand why they were so proud of that moment. But I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think the band's always trying to showcase what's new for them.
Yeah.
So I think that this album does that. It showcases a couple new songs with Simple and Gumbo. I think the Wilson was like, hey, we played fucking Madison Square Garden.
Right.
Check this shit. And the feeling that the band had. And I think that stuff like the Tweezer was, look at what we're doing.
Right.
Look at the improvising that we're doing. And then, we'll get deeper into it on that episode. But I'm not sure. I may axe the Simple, or I may agree with you.
Yeah.
I got a lot more listening to do. There's no Antelope on there. There's no Bowie on there.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, what are who's it for and why? Anyway, Speaking of a live one, we're back to Chalk Dust Torture.
But still, you know, Wilson, Slave, Harry Hood, these were all songs that were never on albums. So I think that's kind of, like you said, was kind of the point of it is we're going to do this whole live thing and it's just going to be bouncing and, you know, You Enjoy Myself, the only songs you've ever heard. So, Stash.
Yep. But, yeah. That makes sense. So after the Chalk Dust, which was good and tight, when Fee started, I was a little worried. I thought it was an odd choice. But then I forgot, like, this is Phish's pop song.
Yeah.
Do you hear the crowd singing along aggressively?
So excited.
They almost back off the mics and let the crowd... It's like a hold the mic out and let the crowd do it moment.
Right.
Which was crazy. I loved it. Once it got going and I was in it, it was amazing. I really loved it. I think great choice.
Yeah, no,
I wasn't sure, but
it was an awesome performance too. Had a cool little ending. When I was in '94, you know, like I said to the guys that were, you know, turning me on to Phish, I said, "What are Phish's two most popular songs?" They said Fee and Esther. And I was like, oh, okay. And I really liked those songs because they were really poppy, you know, and Esther's really pretty and stuff like that. Had a unique song structure. And then when I started getting into Phish and then like, you know, I'm like 10, 15 shows, haven't seen a Fee or an Esther. Like, what's going
this
on
was
here?
one of
but back then,
one of my favorite songs too.
Yeah.
Absolutely one of my early favorites. It was like Sample in a Jar and this and you know, it was pop stuff.
Right.
Like I really liked that part of the band, and I think they like it too. It was really, it connected to the audience and felt really natural and true and great. I was all smiles, and then it kind of tries, not really smoothly, but moves into the Antelope.
Right.
And as aforementioned, it is nothing but power and energy and just insanity, and then there's these crazy stop breaks at like 7.5 in. What the, they were so locked in still.
Yeah.
And had so much fun at this show, but this Antelope was still an 11. It was out of control. And I don't know if the little Have Mercy thing at the end was a mistake or like the coolest thing that's ever happened. In the outro, did you?
Yeah, it seemed purposeful to me. I just kind of was like, at 9 minutes, it hits like a super speed rocket ship, and then at 10 minutes, it crashes into reggae for like 20 seconds. And I didn't even put Have Mercy. I just put crashes into reggae for 20 seconds. But I thought it was so awesome.
It was weird.
Yeah.
Marco and Sequatoros. If you guys are having Spike. Man.
was very weird. But it just shows how locked in the band is.
Yeah.
I think it could have been someone hit one little note and all of a sudden everyone just snapped into this moment.
Right.
It could be seen as a weird mistake, but I looked at it as, holy shit, they are just everyone's ears and everyone's listening and they're this far into the show and they're just, lubricated and feeling like a machine. It's just so well done. Really great.
And maybe it's just our taste, but I do think that the bluegrass in this show, because it adds like such another color to the whole show, it seems to make it have like more depth. It seems to like make it more special. And I
Dynamics.
Think, Dynamics. I think the band is feeding off the pride of having pulled it off. And I think the audience is like, I'm experiencing something really unique, and I feel the same way when I'm listening to the show. And I mean, obviously all the shows we've been listening to have been incredible, but I think like sometimes by the third quarter, maybe I'm like appreciating the rock a little bit less, and it's nice to have that variety.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the encore here says it all too, with a fully acoustic Amazing Grace, or an a cappella Amazing Grace to start. I mean, always welcomed at the end of a great show. But the way after that Antelope just come out and do Amazing Grace a cappella. I mean, we have Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, Amazing Grace. Yeah. There's a lot of that, like, this is a communal place. This is for everyone to come together. Music matters on a deeply spiritual and larger level than all of us, and we're just tapping into it, and it's so cool. So cool. And then that Susie, wow, like Page again, but the skills in that solo at the end, such a stamp on the night.
Absolutely.
Ugh. And then the audience recordings of shows remind me, we get all these official releases, but when you listen to the audience recordings, you get those little moments. And then all of a sudden, Louis Armstrong's on in the background. Right. And it reminds me of the first song played at the end of a great show matters.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever Paul Languedoc's putting on at the end there, it really matters. And it brought such a smile to my face when that started.
Yeah.
And I remember it was a 12/30/96 at the Fleet Center, what the Boston Garden is now, in Boston. And I really loved that show. It was great. And hit the end and we were like, holy shit, that was insane. And then Rocket Man was the first song that was played afterwards. Nice. And like all these just Boston bros around us, arm in arm, singing along. And like the whole crowd kind of stopped and sang along to the chorus. And it really brought a smile to my face.
Hey, Sam, were you aware that I believe tonight is Elton John's last performance ever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's doing his farewell tour, and I believe tonight is the final night at Dodger Stadium.
There it is. There it is.
In the air.
Nice.
Anyhow, EJ.
Good run. Good run, Elton. Good run. Yeah, it's brought me a lot of joy.
So that's the show, and yeah, I think we've discussed it. It's a great one. We talked about our simples.
Go listen to this. Please,
yeah,
listen.
Definitely
listen.
go listen to this.
And we get to stay in Fall '94 for a while too, which is great. The next is 11/22 in Columbia, Maryland, which is also a lauded show. It's on Live Phish, so back to pristine sound quality.
Right.
Thank you. So that's gonna just be a fun one.
I will warn you, the Big Black Furry Creatures from Mars is quite explicit. Contains some language that many will not feel comfortable with, so just be prepared for that.
Yeah, when I post this podcast, I always click explicit because I like to use the F word a lot, as especially my now 7-year-old likes to tell me, "Dad, don't curse when you're saying your stories."
Right.
Sorry, honey. So she's scolding me in my mind all the time.
Is it Phish or Trey that says I'm gonna F you in the A in the that Big Black Furry Creatures from?
I can't remember. It'll all come back. Yeah, it's pretty, and the filters are off. It's great.
Yeah,
so
and I loved,
and
speaking of, I loved the hollering and the screaming at the end of Foggy Mountain Breakdown and Swing Low, Sweet Chariot to finish off that first set. It wasn't just, they just make it so silly. They're just so likable. And yeah,
likable and talented.
Since we are talking about Phish, and we were just listening to Trey kind of talk about his love for 92, 93, which was really great, and how he felt about 97. And I also really loved the way he was talking about how Paul, would like tell them whether they're actually listening to one another. So Trey would like come off and be like, "Yeah, we're really listening," and Paul would be like, "I don't know about that."
It was having to mix a lot out there on the fly.
I thought that was like a really, really funny anecdote, that how much they listen to comes up in the mix. That is quite hilarious. But yeah, that was.
I also liked. He was emotional about where he was in his life. He said, it's basically like my wife had a baby at home, and 2 days later I flew to Europe for that one of the tours.
Right.
And how he was the only one with a kid, and how being on tour was a party. It was nonstop parties. It was everyone went on the bus and they were up and they were having a great time and it was fun. And how he juxtaposing his life was difficult. I loved how he kind of said, I love the question because they'd been discussing it on prior episodes of Undermine. How they said, they believed the band choosing not to critique themselves was a conscious choice for the music, to kind of see where the music would go and be freer. And he's like, no. Basically, we were just 4 guys that spent so much time together and we didn't want to break up. So we decided to just stop criticizing each other and pissing each other off and just loving our job of being musicians and taking it loose and easy and trying to see where it went and trying to hold it together. And that is the most sane explanation. And I think, it's a smart move to make at that point in your career, And
it was also nice to hear him say that they were kind of discussing how to make the show better after Dix. So it sounds like maybe they're starting to discuss a little bit more about what they can do to make it different, which I don't want them to fight by any means, but I do think that some conversations can be had.
Oh yeah, I think they've gone back there. That run of like, you have to, this is a larger conversation, but you can't just let the stuff fester, you can't just pretend it's, throw paint at the wall and walk off and never look at it again. At some point, you're going to want to have to look at what you're making and make an honest assessment. And if, someone's not holding their end or, it's got to get discussed. So
yeah,
I get it. It was just nice to hear him be so honest.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. A lot. I want to hear more interviews with him being real honest.
Yeah, I'd like to hear interviews with all of them, except Paige. He's not, I'd like Paige to be more forthcoming, but anytime he's ever interviewed, I'm like, Paige, you're giving us like 2% here, man. But maybe he's just not comfortable, That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, what else is going on? We've got The Gorge coming up here. Thank you, Kevin, so much for listening. I assume you were listening to the podcast. And
Of course. This is his favorite podcast. I really, I from the bottom of my heart appreciate it. I think the 16th, the audience recordings from that night sound great. They really do. Really warm and inviting and great. But the 17th, not so much. They're okay, but they're not as good.
No.
So I am fired up to let my ears bleed listening to both those shows. There are so many highlights. I was telling a friend, if you were to combine the highlights of those two shows into one show, it would be one of the best shows the band has ever played, hands down.
Yeah.
Like, unbelievable stuff.
Not to take anything away from that statement, but that could be said about a lot of two shows.
Absolutely. Yes. But that was a run. And, 97 was fun at the Gorge. 99 was fun at the Gorge. But 98 was life-changing.
That was
my year.
Yeah.
Ugh. So I mean, box set, schmuck set. I don't really do CDs anymore. I assume they may do a vinyl release, which will be cool. I'll try and get my hands on that.
But you remember how good that Amsterdam box set sounded? It sounded incredible.
Yeah, but I'll get lossless format. It'll be fine. I'm excited for the release. It's going to be great. And I thought the 12-2 was also really fun to listen to.
It definitely was. The tweezer's amazing. The maze is amazing. The maze gets fucking weird.
I think we're gonna love. I know your view on December '95, but I think once we get there, I'm excited to get into it. It's gonna be really great.
Yeah, I mean, I do remember like the first time I heard that 12-7 Mike's Weekapaw deal, and I was just, I mean, I couldn't even put it to words. I was so moved. Yeah. I was just like, what is this? And Phish is like this unbelievable band that you could listen to thousands of hours, across decades, and then still stumble upon a single show like this 11/16/95 or 12/5 90 or 12/7/95, and just be like, whoa, this is its own thing altogether. It's just a totally different world because some portal opened up that night because of their moods and their communication. And just gotta love that improvisational music.
We're fans. I think we're fans. I think officially we're there.
Yeah, let's end on a negative note because today is 11/21/97, and I'm just online today, and people are just like raving about how incredible 11/21/97 is, and I'm not saying it isn't incredible, but I don't know. Sometimes I feel with like big jam people that they're just, that AC/DC bag is close to half an hour, and I'd say it's got like 7 minutes that are good, and it's got 7 minutes that are fucking hurt my ears. So it's just one of those weird things where, I don't know, they're kind of like fake boob fans. Like, I feel like loving a big jam just because it's a big jam is maybe not the answer. Yeah, I don't know. Beautiful. But, I mean, I love the emotional rescue, and 11/21 has some great moments, but I don't think it's all that. I'm coming post Trey Goose tour, and I'm a little sensitive to hyperbole. I don't know what it is, but it rubbed me the wrong way a little bit today. I'm
going to say that I firmly agree with you on both, on the Hampton shows, and on 11/21, I'm in full agreement with what you said. Isn't that the Giant Haley's Comet tour? Is that the next night?
That's the 22nd, yeah.
Yes, next also night. Not a fan of that. Yeah. People talk about it, one of the best jams the band's ever played. I fall asleep in that jam. Right. But we'll get there in 97, and what may be the biggest takeaway of this whole podcast experience for us is that fall 97 is not all it's cracked up to be. We'll see. We'll see. But I guess when I look at ratings of shows like this on Fishnet, and I go, oh yeah, it's like a 4 point something, and I'm out of 5. I'm like, oh, this was great. I don't know how anyone wouldn't give this 5. Yeah, but whatever. You're like, okay, well, someone didn't like it as much, and they didn't enjoy it as much. I feel like if people were rating these Trey and Goose shows right now, which whatever, get out there and do your thing. I can't listen to even a song from Goose. I get what they're doing. Yeah. It's just not for me. It's not the type of music I like. It's not I don't think they're like Phish very much at all. I
Right.
don't get it. I don't, whatever. But Trey likes them and they're buddies and they seem like really nice guys and
Yeah.
they're trying to crack that next step level of their career. Go for it.
Right.
Whatever you got to do. But I guarantee there's this fucking same person that gives this show like a 3.5 out of 5 would give those Trey and Goose shows 5 out of 5. So
Right.
I'm just, guys, we're all out there to nitpick and we're all out there to like, to break down like, I see it as baseball. We're out there
Yeah.
breaking down stuff where the players are just having fun and opposing teams are giving each other hugs and
Yeah.
they're sitting in their mansions and driving their fancy cars feeling like they're happy we're out there, but they don't give a shit about what we say.
Right.
And I respect that. I get that. But we got to be able to call a square and a circle. That's all.
Right.
We
Yeah.
need some guidelines, guys.
Well said. And I think Phish has great years, and I think they've got not so great years, and I think the Grateful Dead has good years and not so great years. Same with the Allman Brothers and Santana.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's like any reason why we need to just pretend like, everything is amazing. It was so amazing. Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
I know that seems kind of hypocritical coming off this show, but this show really was fucking amazing.
It's really good. I'll be honest too. My 10-year-old and I were cranking the new Harry Styles record today, which I only heard one song off of. It's really good. It's really
it's good. It's good. Yeah.
The songs are well written. The production is awesome.
Yeah, production.
I mean, he's kind of a vessel for a mood.
Right.
And that mood is positive, and my 10-year-old likes it and I like it.
Yeah.
And she's like, all the kids at my school are singing this song, and this one, I was like, this song rocks. Like, good for you kids. Like why can't we? And in that interview with Trey the other day, he mentioned Harry Styles and going to see him and how he's like, it was super fun. And he also dropped King Gizzard, which I'm working on. I've listened to. I saw them years ago and it was really fun. I think cool band.
Yeah.
They've yet to really crack deep into it for me, but I'm not a Goose fan, but I give them all the props in the world.
Let's face it,
People
Trey,
get out there and love what you love.
One of the things we've always loved about Trey is that he loves everything. It's one of his
guy.
best qualities, and I
so
feel
positive.
the same way. Like I go into music and art wanting to like it. Like that's the whole point. Even if like I put on Ted Nugent, I'm gonna want to like it. I'm gonna try and like it, and I'm gonna let him try and convince me otherwise. And I feel like that's how I go into art. And I feel like I don't know, why not?
Yep.
So yeah, I think he's got the right attitude, and that's why
more
we're
power
talking
to
about him.
Good man, good men, and thank them for all they do and have done for us. Wow.
And your and thank their families. Thank you, Phish's families, for being supportive, and that's a big part of it too. So
yeah, thanks to the crew.
Yeah,
lighting tech, sound tech, on monitor crew, truck drivers. I mean, it takes a lot.
Sometimes when I'm talking my wife's ear off, and I have a lot to say about things, I was kind of like, you can kind of see for yourself from the outside of your body, and you're like, God, I'm being kind of annoying right now. I'm just, and I think, man, Sue Anastasio is such a patient woman. Such a patient woman. I just
yes.
Because I have a quarter of the enthusiasm of Trey. So I don't know what that's like.
Yeah, it's relationships you find you it's a dynamic.
Well, here's to dynamics, everybody.
Yeah. Well, Ian, pleasure. We'll keep it on Phish, and we will see everyone next time staying in fall 94, and hopefully just as blessed and ecstatic and happy with all of it. So yeah, be safe out there, everybody. Yeah. Good
night, Tim. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
That was a solid yeehaw. Hello Hello there, friends, and thank you for listening. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or would like to reach out to Ian and I about anything at all, you can find us at companion2thecompanion@gmail.com.